By the name Mala. Amazing producer, amazing selector, wonderful human. And it's truly a blessing that we can say he is our special guest on Radio 1 tonight. How you doing, sir?
Benji, thank you, man. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
I know, I must apologise because you've been asking me to come on your show for a good couple of years now, and something always comes up, and finally we make it happen. You've always been supporting the music that I've been making, not just my own stuff, but stuff through my labels as well. So really it's a real, a privilege and an honour for me to come and hang out with you for a minute. So thanks for having me, Benji.
Oh no, not at all. Thanks a lot. And yeah, it's definitely been more than that. I think it's been like good 5, 6, 7 years we've been talking on the road. But that's the nature of it. It's like we see each other in airports and clubs and festivals, and I exactly know how the schedule goes. So it's all good. But the music has been received loud and clear anyway, nonetheless, and whether it be releases on DMZ or Deep Medi or your own stuff, regulars to this show are no doubt familiar with you both as a DJ and producer. That's an understatement, but maybe for people that are kind of discovering this program or you for the first time tonight, do you want to just give us a short intro of who you are and what your background is?
Yeah, as you say, my name's Mala, my real name's Mark. Grew up in South East London, a place called South Norwood. Went to school with two very good friends. People know them as Koki and Pokes. Later on we met Lofa, and together we started what people know as DMZ. And really DMZ was an extension of what we were doing in our bedrooms for many years, just playing music together, MCing, DJing, buying records, playing at house parties, playing at under 18 dances, and it just evolved into producing music. And really that is the foundation which has allowed me to go on and to be where I'm at right now, so yeah, from that we set up our DMZ label, which just primarily released only our music. We started the dance DMZ. There was nothing happening in London at the time other than Forward for the music that we were doing. So we set up our own dance, and we started playing the dance on a regular basis in Brixton. And that'll be running for 8 years. Next year will be our 8-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
So yeah, that's now we all spreading out doing different things, which is nice because that's part of growth and life. And during that process as well, I was getting sent so much music from all different people over the world. And I found myself in a very privileged position where when I would go into certain record shops, the people there would be interested in what music I was making and what music I was playing. I was also doing youth work at the time as well, and I found it, I kind of saw the opportunity really to try and help other musicians and producers progress, to give them that creative freedom, but perhaps to be able to put their music in the spotlight, That's why I started Deep Medi, my other record label. It's not about owning and controlling artists and music. It's about progression. It's about collaboration.
Wow. Well, there's a lot to cover there. There's DMZ, there's Deep Medi, and I should say that we've been talking, the two of us, about doing a Deep Medi label profile for the longest time. So that is going to come. We are going to do a Deep Medi label profile sometime in the future, because if you're regular to this show, we've been doing label profiles, looking at some of our favourite imprints, and Deep Medi is definitely one. And obviously you've been a long-time supporter of people like Quest and Silky and the Antisocial Mob and all that, who we play a lot of on the radio as well. So it'd be nice to get the whole squad in and and get some guest mixes or play some new dubs or whatever.
Yeah. They'd love that, of course.
But today we are definitely discussing the world of Mala, and as you can hear, another tune in the background from your latest project, which we're going to talk about shortly, which is the Mala In Cuba album, and which is fair to say is your most recent one, right?
Yeah.
And how did that come about?
It came about really randomly for me. It was one of those days, and I just got a random phone call from Giles Peterson, who I think most people are familiar with, and he told me he was working with Havana Cultura, which was a project based in Havana in Cuba, and he was going out there working with Cuban musicians, both well-known Cuban musicians and unknown Cuban musicians, and he was creating albums. And he decided that he wanted to do something a little bit different, and for some strange reason he decided that he'd ask me to go with him and record a record, you know. So with apprehension and a lot of fears and doubts, I decided to accept his offer, you know what I mean, and just go for it.
Yeah. It must have been a totally mind-blowing experience to go to Havana for the first time.
Yeah, everything about the experience was, I don't mean it in a cliche way, but it was a life changer for me, you know. Everything about making this record was totally unorthodox for my way of working and my approaching, you know, my approach to music. You know, I've never made an album. I've never recorded music for other labels. You know, I've never worked with musicians. I've never been to Cuba. You know, so it was, everything was just like alien to me. But I guess my motto through like the whole of the experience, and a thing that I kind of like hold on to a lot in life actually, is that you just have to feel comfortable with feeling uncomfortable.
Well, stepping outside your comfort zone.
You just got to do it. You know what I mean? That's how we grow, that's how we change, and sometimes it's painful, but that's also part of growth and part of healing, you know what I mean? And you have to push yourself in them places sometimes, and you know, it's one of those ones that had Brownswood and Havana Cultura and Giles not said, come do this thing, you know, I'd just be probably carrying on doing what I was doing, you know, because I was quite happy doing that. But so yeah, it was a real blessing for me to embark on this adventure, and one that's changed my perspective and will change my approach to music in the future forever, I imagine.
Well, big up Giles, big up Brownswood for making the project happen. I'm so glad. Let's get into a track from the album right now. If you just joined us tonight, you picked a good one. Special guest Mala in the studio talking with me, Benji B, on Radio 1, and you just heard music from his current project, Mala in Cuba, Brownswood Recordings. The track you just heard was called The Tunnel, and I can well imagine that there are probably stories behind all of these tunes, so I can imagine that there must be a story behind every mood, every sort of rhythm on the album.
Yeah, pretty much, you know. Cuba's just it's such a colourful place, you know. On every doorstep there's a picture to be taken, you know, and you know, I really connected with the people and the spirit of the people there, you know. A lot of the people that I met, you know, just got a real fire, you know, got real messages and real stories to be told, and you know, you know, when Giles approached me, I told him, you know, very upfront that I know nothing about Cuban culture. I know nothing about Cuban music, very little. And the closer we got to the date to leave for Cuba, I was like, I should be doing some research about the history and about the culture and about, you know, the music. But I was like, no, I want to kind of go out there like a child, not knowing anything, and just embrace it for what it is now, you know? And that's how I went out there, you know, just arms wide open, mind open, eyes open, ears open, and just literally was just like, you know, just taking everything in. And it was a nice way to experience that place, you know. People were very open.
Because it's famously quite difficult to sort of go beyond the boundaries of what they call Old Havana and the classic sort of tourist trap of Havana when the first time you go there, and you want to do all that stuff because you want to see that side of Havana, and you want to see that postcard side that you're talking about where every street corner's a picture, but you know, it must have been amazing to have that passport to just go one step deeper than that, and just to go into sort of real Havana.
For sure.
And sort of go into the real studios and places where music is really being recorded.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's one of those things you can't really put into words, and I guess this is what this record is about, you know. You know, I'm not Cuban. I'm not traditionally or classically trained as a musician. So it would be impossible for me to write a Cuban album. So, you know, it was about me trying to embrace what they do, but bring what I do. And it was that kind of trying to fuse those energies together, you know, and that's what this record is for me. It's just me trying to translate and understand and express my experience of being with the people that I was in Cuba and the place itself, you know.
I remember talking to Giles around the time that you were going out there, and he told me a story about you setting up a sound system and doing a little dance, just putting on a sort of impromptu little
at this house party,
little session, and how people reacted to your music, having not ever heard it before. You want to tell us about that?
yeah, it was a guy out there. He runs he's like a hip hop artist. He's called Double A Filo. His name's Aguaro, and he just set up some speakers in a yard. And when I'm talking about it's a residential area, I'm not talking like it's like a space and the houses are over there. Like, you know, it's like a normal road where, you know, you've got a house either side of you and the house in the middle has got the big sound system, and it's like a Tuesday night. And so yeah, anyway, we ended up playing in this house party, and yeah, it was just crazy. It was just like vibes in there, you know. House music was getting played, and then, you know, I come on and played something a little unusual. But I was surprised that there's a lot of people over there that knew what was going on. You know, it wasn't so alien, because I think word got out that, you know, we was in town, and, you know, some people that have been into stuff, because they, you know, some of the people there, they got links in Miami and stuff like that, so the music might come in through here. So they, you know, people were up on it. And that's actually where I met the trumpet player in Calle, because I was playing Lean Forward, and some guy come up to me and he's like, yeah, can I play? And obviously if that happens to you in London or New York or anywhere, you think the guy wants to get on the mic.
Yeah.
So I said, what do you mean? I said, what do you mean? And he just pulled out his trumpet. And I said, yeah, go on then.
I've got bars.
And yeah, he just started, you know what I mean, playing over Lean Forward, and he just absolutely smashed it. And, you know, it was like, got to get him studio, and Giles was like, yeah, we got to get him studio. So we said to him, come studio tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock, and he was there, you know. And
wow.
I played him some tracks that I'd already made, and you know, he perhaps did like 10 takes or something over a few different tracks, and that was it, you know what I mean. You know, and, you know, it's, you know, I credit him on the record, and, you know, make sure that all those things are sorted, because it's important, you know. As I say, this record couldn't be made without a whole handful of people. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, we played Calle F, which I assume is a road, right?
Yes,
yes,
and that's where the party was.
Right, there you go.
Yeah.
We played that as we were talking just a minute ago, and you know, just to clarify, it's, you know, a lot of the music that you're hearing on this record, like the percussion that was just playing now on this tune, I mean, this is all stuff that you recorded out there, multi-tracked, and then brought back and arranged for the album, right?
Yeah, with Roberto Fonseca and his band.
Amazing. Who I actually managed to get to see live when I was out there. Who's sick.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, unbelievable.
He's ridiculous. Him and his band, they are phenomenal.
Who's his drummer? His drummer's just nuts.
Rodriguez. Yeah, he's ridiculous. And for me, it was the drummer and the percussion player, Gerardly, who plays the congas. It was really their grooves which I followed. That was really like a backbone of a lot of the tracks. I use a lot of, you know, of him playing on the record, as you can hear. And on the second trip that I went to Cuba, they got a guy named Changuito to come in and play the timbale. And this guy, he's an older gentleman, and very, very well-known Cuban player. And he walks into the studio, he's got a white Kangol cap, he's got on a pink shirt, kind of open at the, you know what I mean, kind of like, with the kind of like a medallion thing. And he's just looking, he's got his Ray-Bans on, he's looking proper dapper, and he's got a plaster cast on his arm. And the rhythms and the grooves that he still played over my tunes was just, it's unbelievable. And, you know, like the timbale playing in like the track like Change, for example, you know, is him. And the, you know, it was just really interesting to listen in my studio to what they had done, because a lot of the time I wouldn't try and tighten them up too much, you know, with quantizing and all those things. I wanted to leave it as loose and as natural as possible. And the way that they fit in the grooves, like the in-betweens, man, it's just like you can't recreate that, you know. And I guess that's the human essence, and that's the thing that I understood intellectually. That's what musicians do when they make music. But actually being in Cuba, experiencing and watching and listening to this creation happening in front of me, when you go back to the studio with the material, I approach it with a totally different understanding and respect. You know, it's not just a sample pack, you know. It's a real thing. It's the man, he's played it in front of you. So, you know, it was incredible. And, you know, hence the track that you're playing now is called Changuito.
Changuito, shout out to Changuito.
Yeah, man.
That's him in the background on the timbali. Yeah. Talking of tales behind the tunes, we just played a track called The Tunnel. What does that refer to?
The Tunnel is the name of a club that I went to in Havana. And it was interesting because I'd never been to, you know, it was the first time I went there. I'd never been to a club there. And I was very interested to see what type of music they played and what type of vibe that they played. And most of the music there was reggaeton, and I actually started making the Noches Sueños track when I got back to the hotel after The Tunnel.
You want to introduce this one for us?
Yeah, this one is Noches Sueños featuring Duanaya Suarez.
So you've started doing this live.
I have.
I cannot wait to hear.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I was away this Saturday just gone when you were in my hometown, London, doing it, and I would have loved to have been able to attend it, but it's all good because I know you're going to do it again in London and no doubt tour it next year as well, right? If you can. Yeah,
you know, I'm not really a planning type of guy, but I would love to continue working this. Again, it's something that I never imagined doing. But it's been a real blessing to work with musicians in this way. You know, it's just nice to collaborate with people. It's nice to work with people. You know, I guess coming up with DMZ and the whole kind of like community of people at the time when this whole thing was growing, there was just people around, you know, creating vibes and energy. And you know, as time goes on, you kind of get a little more isolated. That's how it has been for me. So it's nice to kind of let people in again, you know what I mean, and work and create something together, you know. So it's been really good fun, you know. I've got you know, there's 3 people that are musicians that play the show with me, and you know, on and off stage we get on so well, you know, and it's just great fun, you know. Yeah.
And so what's the setup like? How does that actually work when you do the live show? Because you did was that your very first one this weekend just gone?
I did 2 before, one in Poland and one in Italy.
Okay.
And
cool.
This was the 3rd show.
And what was the process like of sort of, you know, what was the process of putting it together and getting it ready? What was your first gig like? Was it nerve-wracking?
Yeah, but not as nerve-wracking as Saturday.
Is that because it was a home game?
Yeah, and I had so much friends and family there, you know. My mother was there, and, you know, just my brothers, you know, just my family was there, you know. A lot of people came, and Koki and Lofa. And,
of course, I mean, I wanted to see it because I wanted to see it, but it's also, how do you say it? It's not insignificant, shall we say, that it's right across the road from, you know, Mass, which was the home of DMZ for such a long time. And, you know, being a South Londoner and everything, doing a home game in Brixton must have been a bit nerve-wracking and exciting at the same time.
Yeah, very exciting, you know. You know, you prepare a lot for these things, working with the musicians and to get them playing tight. So yeah, it's one of those things that before the first show, I think it was like 3 weeks before the first show, I was like, right, I better start, trying to put something together. And, I thought about different ways of going about it, you know. There's lots of, I guess in a kind of funny way, like the word dub is thrown around a lot nowadays, and, sometimes you can't actually make the connection. Also, the word live is also thrown around a lot in a similar way. But I did want to try and create something with a real live element, and that's why I wanted to work with musicians. So I have Ollie, who plays on the congas and the bongo. I have a guy called Satin who plays on the timbale, and my brother Swindle, he's playing the keys.
Cool.
And they all come into my mixing desk, and I have all, basically I have all my stems of my tracks running into my mixing desk, and I have my analog effects, and we just jam that way, So obviously the set is created, but it's open for new interpretations, because you have live musicians playing who are not going to play the same way every single show, And, having all the stems running separately into my desk allows me to mute and solo and, EQ and affect things on the fly as well, And that for me was important. I see it as an opportunity to learn something new, And so, yeah, as daunting as it is, I'm just embracing it and just trying to learn something new and work with it and see what comes of it, and give thanks. Saturday was something that I always remember, it was a very, very special event and a very good turnout, and I just hope people enjoyed the show,
Absolute classic music. Produced by special guest Mala. One of my favourite 12 inches of the last decade, no question. Lean forward. Absolutely love this piece of music, man.
Thanks, man.
Just warrior charge music.
Yeah.
So we're talking about DMZ, which this year will be 8 years old. I do have to ask the question on behalf of all the heads that listen to this show. What's up with the raves? Come on. When's the next one? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but come on.
Don't ask me.
Come on.
Don't ask me.
First of all, we need to call out one thing.
Go on.
And that's that the 7th birthday was in Amsterdam.
Oh.
I mean, we love Amsterdam, and you should definitely do a 7th birthday there as well. But for fans of DMZ, when do we get our version?
8, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, 8th birthday.
Not trying to press you on it or push you on it or put you on the spot or anything. But, I mean, the birthdays, the 5th birthday in particular, I just remember being as just one of the most magical moments in London clubland. There's those nights sort of when you're very privileged, or I feel very privileged to have grown up in a place where you can go to some really memorable nights and memorable sessions over the years. And there's definitely been a few times at DMZ where I've looked around and thought this couldn't happen anywhere else in the world, and I'm truly lucky to have felt it. You want to know a story about that night? Yeah.
DMZ 5th birthday. We just finished playing the DMZ set, birthday set. This was my last show that I was doing before my partner was about to, we was expecting our first child.
Yeah.
And about half an hour after we finished playing, I get a phone call, and my partner says, I think I'm going into labour.
Wow.
And I spoke to one of my mates, my brethren Gary G, and he's like, no, don't worry about it, it's just the Braxton Hicks, they all have it. And I spoke to Jason, the mastering engineer on all the DMZ records, Jason at Transition, and he's like, nah, Mala, like, you probably need to go, And but me having to go meant, my partner was in Belgium.
Right.
So I had to get to Belgium. So I've left at about 4 a.m, got in my car. I've drove all the way to Folkestone, got on the first train on the Eurotunnel with my car to Calais, drove all the way to Antwerp, picked up my partner. It was got to the hospital about midday, and at 6 p.m. my son was born.
Wow. I don't know really what to say after a story like that. That's absolutely amazing.
Crazy. The most amazing 24 hours in my life. He was, you know, my son's name's Miles. He was 10 days early.
Right.
Which is mad because I was also 10 days early.
Oh, really?
And he was the same size, same weight.
Wow.
And it's funny. He just literally waited half an hour for me to finish, you know, before, cause, you know, we had like a little, 10-day break, you know, where I was just gonna take it easy, relax, but yeah. It wasn't to be.
Wow. Amazing story. Well, congratulations. Amazing. So how many children do you have now?
2.
Congratulations, man. Amazing. And how's family life?
Yeah, man. You know, give thanks. I'm very lucky. I've got a very strong woman that, you know, it's not easy to live with someone who's on the road a lot, doing what we do, you know. I think on an intellectual level, it's doable, but the actuality of it can be very different. So, you know, I'm very lucky.
In the background, more classic DMZ music, special guest Mala. And if you're not familiar with the DMZ label, it's your first time listening tonight, there are many classics, of which this is one. It's amazing when a club night has its own hits, so to speak. You know, where you can go down there and play certain tunes, and to the community that go to that club night, that they are their hits, their tunes, you know. And there's a lot of tunes like this one, like Anti-War Dub, like Lean Forward, so many actually. That must be an amazing feeling for you to be able to play them like and see that reaction. It's
kind of abstract, really, you know, because you know, I don't really see it in the way that you've just described it. So,
but you must feel that reaction when you play like an Anti-War Dub or Lean Forward at a DMZ party. You must feel that energy rush, that forward that you get from the very back coming all the way to the front.
I feel energy, but I don't think that I've created that energy. Because like when I make a tune in the studio, there's, you know, most of the time I'm on my own, so there's a certain amount of there's a certain amount of my doing and unknown doing that happens in the studio that allows me to create music, you know. When that piece of music is finished, when you share it and put it in the public domain, the way that I see it, it takes on a life on its own. Because, for example, if you then say what you say about it because you're feeling it and you play it, you've actually given input to that tune in its direction and in terms of how other people may perceive it. So, like, when people say things like that, you know, like, I don't really take it like they're saying it because I've done something. For me, it's more of like a unity thing where people have been able to come together to share an experience, and that's what I feel. I don't feel like, oh yeah, it's me standing in a DJ box, people are going yeah to my tune. I'm going yeah because I'm feeling the energy as much as everybody else. You get what I'm saying? So it's not a me thing. It's the community thing. It's everybody that's present is having input.
We've got some listener questions coming in. That's coming next after this one. Just heard the brand new release on DMZ, track called Stand Against War. In the background, the B-side, or as Mala said, the double A side, Maintain Through Madness. Sounds like the mantra of my life.
Just stay true to yourself, man.
Maintain Through Madness. All right, if you just joined us, it's Benji B on BBC Radio 1 and 1 Extra. I'm joined by one of my favourite producers and DJs and people. His name is Mala. If you just joined us tonight, it's all good. To everyone that's been getting in touch with us with questions, shouts, and all the regulars, much love to you. We've got a few questions coming from listeners. Are you up for answering a couple of these questions?
Let's see what they are.
All right. Shout out to everyone that's been coming through on our Facebook. Mark Hanlon wants to know, what is your favourite club to DJ outside of the UK?
Yeah, there's a couple.
Yeah.
One of my favourite places and favourite places to play is I play at a venue called Unit for a session called DBS, which is drum and bass session. They've been running for 16 years now, and I've been to Japan maybe 4 or 5 times now, and I played last year at their 15-year anniversary. And this club Unit and the DBS session is very special. Their attention to detail and their hospitality is second to none. And you know, anybody that's been to Japan and you've eaten the food there and you've connected with the people there, you know, it's a very, very special place, and that's one of my favourite places to play. My other favourite place to play will have to be Cielo in New York. I've been very, very lucky to be asked to play with Francois K at his Deep Space session. I think I played there 4 or 5 times now over the years. And, you know, it's just opened my mind and my music to a different audience. You know, I've played with people like Theo Parrish there. And, you know, they've got a Function 1 system in there which has been specifically built for the space. So to play in there and to listen to music in there is one of the best in the world. And I did the Cuba album listening session. I did listening sessions in a few different countries for journalists and stuff, and we did that in Cielo in New York. And yeah, man, Tokyo and New York.
Perfect. All right, so if you're ever lucky enough to make it to Tokyo, check out Unit, which I think is in Dokeyama, is it? I can't remember. Yeah, I played there too. Special place. Yeah. And Cielo, which is in the Meatpacking District in New York. If you ever get to go there, make sure it's a Monday for Francois K's legendary Deep Space session. Okay, we've got a couple of questions relating to the Cuba project. Tomic says, have you got any unreleased Cuba stuff that might see the light of day?
I've got quite a few bits of unreleased Cuba stuff. And there was actually a bonus track on a Japanese version of the album.
Okay.
Which is like a hidden track. It's not hidden or a secret anymore. But, yeah, it's called Rising.
Cool.
So you know, maybe I can check that out somehow.
I'm definitely going to phone up Japan and see if I can get one of those sent over.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll do some stuff with some of the kind of the offcuts, so to speak. But you know, I don't know.
And Scott Burke says, after Cuba, where and what is next?
No idea, bro. Got no idea. You know, as I say, I'm not a planning guy. I just try and feel my way forward, and if it feels right, I will move in that direction, you know.
I've got a question. What do you make of this new game tune?
Benji.
It's called Holy Water.
First of all, let me just say big up for the you know, the people listening and getting at me with some questions. I really appreciate your time for that.
Definitely. So and if you want to send Mala a message, email me benjib@bbc.co.uk and I'll be sure to pass as much on as I can. Of course, you can always leave a message or a shout out on our Facebook wall as well. It's the Benji B show for that. Leave Mala a message on there and we'll pass on as many as we can. Thanks for your contributions, for sure. Oh, don't avoid it. I tell you what. Let's listen to it first, and then you can tell me.
Oh no, don't do that, Benji.
Come on. No, it's interesting. Everyone wants to know. This.
All I say is, you know, I'm not against sampling. That's the nature of the music. You know, that's the nature of creation. You know, we're all inspired by something that was created by someone else. You know, pretty much everybody I know has sampled something from somewhere, whether it be YouTube or a record or a film or, you know. I don't see this as being any different, to be honest with you. You know, as I say, I'm not against sampling.
I can't think that anyone would imagine that you would be against sampling, but it is interesting to know what you reckon of, and to also hear the story of this track. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a brand new game track floating around that sounds very much like this. beat, to be honest, mate. But anyhow, as you probably realise, this one, track called Changes, originally by Mala. Sounds a little bit like the track we just heard from The Game. Samples our special guest. So I don't know, you seemed a bit uncomfortable me raising it a minute ago, but it's only because I just heard this tune this week. In fact, shout out to DJ MK, he was the first person that put me onto it, because he put a little tweet up that was like, I wonder, has Mala heard the new Game track? And then I listened to the snippet of it and I was like, wow, okay, it's Changes. But how did it come about? How did you first hear of it?
You know, people just send you messages and post things up on your Facebook and stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And what, I mean, did they get in touch? You're listening to BBC Radio 1. We're going to move swiftly on to the next subject, which is what's next for Deep Medi.
Deep Medi, yeah, we got a release coming out by Khan. Young brother from Bristol, making some serious music. Vivek's got Vivek's working on a record. We've mastered a few dub mechanics. I've got a record that's coming out. Swindle's just had some out, another 12. A lot of people are working on albums, you know, for next year. I should have bought you a track, actually. I'm going to send you a track. Some new artists that I signed, actually from Belgium. And they're making some nice music, man. So I'll hook you up with that one.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Maybe you can give it the exclusive or something.
Don't tease me unless you're going to do it.
I'll do it, man. I got you covered on that, man. I'm not going to say it and then not do it for sure. So yeah, I'm just, you know, people are just hungry, people are active, you know, people are enjoying making music. And you know, it's nice to be around that environment, you know.
And how's travels for you as a DJ at the moment? How are you finding sort of club culture worldwide at the moment? And
yeah, I still love it, you know. I still treat my gigs as if they're my first, you know. I still feel a huge sense of responsibility to be there on time and play as well as I can be. You know, I'm very, very lucky that I get to travel, and sometimes you headline the shows, and it might be other local DJs that are playing, so they are happy for you to play like long sets, you know. So this year I've played many like 3 and 4 hour sessions when I've just been booked to play like an hour and a half or something, you know. And I after 2 hours, like if people are with you and the time's available to allow you to go there, you know, I love going in them long zones, you know. You really get to play everything, and you get to play it at the pace that you want to play, you know. For me to try and cram everything that I want to do in an hour and a half, it's a little bit tricky, you know what I mean? So, you know, I need the extended time, and, you know, I've been lucky to do a lot of them sessions this year. So, yeah, you know, as I say, I feel very, very lucky to be doing this, and still just try and present new music to people, you know.
What gigs have you got in between now and Christmas that you can remember off the top of your head?
So we got more of the Cuba live shows. We were in Paris on Tuesday. And we are in Berlin on, we got Berlin, we got Brussels, we got Amsterdam, Utrecht, and then that's it for the live tour. And then just DJ shows as well, you know. We're going to be doing a Deep Medi Christmas party on the 15th of December. So that would be nice. It's a nice way to get everybody from the label together, you know, just to kind of have a good time and enjoy and kind of celebrate music, you know, and do it. Because everyone's so busy, you know, it's very tough to get everybody in one space. So, you know, I try and do a little session every now and then to kind of allow that to happen. And it's nice because I get to hear everyone play as well, and I don't always get to hear people. You know what it's like when you're on the road, you never get to hear no one play music no more, because, you know, so that's going to be going ahead as well. So yeah, man, it's going to...
Is there a particular website or somewhere people can go to get your dates?
Yeah, you know, you can check out the Facebook, just Mala Mystics, Deep Medi Facebook as well, you know, Facebook Deep Medi, or the www.deepmedi.com. for the Deep Medi info. You know, I ain't too up on the online promotion, you know, but I try and keep, you know, any people that send me messages, I'm always, you know, always want to get back to them, and you know, it's a nice way to connect with people still on a personal level, which, you know, I feel is important.
For sure. Well, listen, we are just about out of time, but thank you so much for passing through and blessing us with the music and the insight and the chat and your time, of course. No,
man, seriously, you know, you've given me a lot of time on the show, Benji, and you know, I really, really appreciate being here. I'm sorry, I thought it was like a couple of years, but you're saying it's like 5 or 6 years you've been trying to get me in here, so I'm sorry it's taken so long. And
it's just because we don't hassle hard enough, because we want it to be when it's right, you know?
For real.
It's like, it's not like we're belling down your phone, it's sort of like, you know, when it's right, and tonight's been the right moment. We'll definitely have you back when you come in to introduce at some point next year sort of some of the Deep Medi artists and do a little Deep Medi special to showcase that.
Yeah, man, let's do that. I'll be up for that.
Yeah, cool. But for today, I always knew it wasn't going to be a short one when we get chatting and playing your music, because there's so much, and of course there's so much more to discover as well. Don't forget, the album is out now, Mala in Cuba. It's on Brownsville Recordings. Shout out to Giles Peterson, shout out to Simon Goff, shout out to Emily, shout out to Sinbad, of course. Everyone that was involved in putting together such a great project. And that one is available on CD as well as vinyl, so it's a good starting point if you can't track down all the old DMZ 12 inches. But if you can, that comes highly recommended as well. And of course, make sure you check out Mala in Cuba live in the next few months. And if you have a chance to check out my special guest as a DJ, it's an experience that you won't regret or forget too easily. So with that, I say, Mala, thank you so much for passing through, and until the next time, man.
Thank you, Benji, man. One love.
Big up, please.